Steeler Nation, we are back for another great episode of the one and only The Sick Podcast, Steeler Crazy. As always, Jay York Football alongside of me, Mic'd Up Sports One. And as you know, you hate to say it, but it's reality. The Steeler season is over right now, but we're just getting started here. We're bringing on great guests, national, local, some players. So be sure to make sure that you guys subscribe and tell your friends and family. Mike, how are you doing today?
Facts. I'm not bad, man. I think I'm kind of withdrawn from the Steelers at this point. You know, it doesn't hurt anymore. Time heals all wounds, and I'm on to the NFL draft in the offseason. Let's rock and roll.
Your favorite time of the year?
It's a great time of the year for sure. It's time to improve this roster, find a way to get away from that 10-7 mark for once. And it's going to be exciting, important offseason. Not that all of them aren't, but this one, it just feels a little different.
Yeah, well, the Steelers season, as we said, may be over, but we are partnered up all season long, and there is still football with our great people over at DraftKings. So why don't you tell the people how they can make themselves some money, not just in all sports, but especially the NFL playoffs that are going on right now. Tell us how they can put some money in their pocket this playoff season.
Yeah, we're talking about playoffs. Say it.
Playoffs.
Say it.
Playoffs.
You bet we are. Get on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook for us, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, because scoring touchdowns is key to winning in the playoffs, and you can score big by betting on them at DraftKings, the number one place to bet touchdowns. If you're ready to place your first bet, try betting on something simple, like a player to score 6. I hit myself a nice parlay finally this past week. I had a Henry touchdown, a Josh Allen anytime, and a Hurts anytime. It's been a long time, that's for sure, so I needed it. Go to the Sportsbook app. Do us a favor. Download it. Use code 6sports. 6sports. New customers, 200 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive reward. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball.
You get all that?
Absolutely.
Hey, we have a great guest lined up. Our man Chuck will run the intro. Sammy, let's get to it.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Steelers Crazy.
Harris Smith shields. Flacco, Polamalu takes it home. Super Bowl 43. Pittsburgh might be bound for that thanks to number 43.
The sickest Pittsburgh Steelers podcast.
Sports entertainment like no other. It's gonna be sick.
Yes, sir. Our guest today, fantasy expert, all-around NFL aficionado. You can find him on Twitter at Chuck F. Bass and the This Guy Sucks channel, YouTube, anywhere, Spotify, Apple. He's in one of those self-driving cars right now. It's our friend Chuck Bass. Chuck, how's that self-driving car working for you?
It's fantastic. It's automated. I'm chilling. I'm on my way to George Pickens' house to make sure he doesn't get any crazy ideas. Things are going well.
Yeah, good luck trying to prevent that. And it's a fine.
He just needs a friend right now. He needs a friend right now, and I think I'm just the man. I think you can tell by looking at me. Him and I would get along real well.
Yeah, totally, man. I heard he's a big mustache guy, so that works, no question about it, dude. So just hit us initially with some general thoughts on the Steelers. I mean, obviously from a national perspective, it kind of feels like the same song and dance, I'm sure, as it does in the Berg as well. People are starting to kind of turn on Mike Tomlin a little bit.
Yeah, it's tricky, like the team that what they've been trying to do used to work, and it used to work a lot, and it used to win teams divisions and Super Bowls and AFC championship appearances even. But, you guys talked about it in one of your wrap-up shows. Like, the NFL has just changed. You look at the teams that are all left, they can put up 30 against the best defenses in the league. The team they put together this year, they just couldn't do that unless they were playing the worst defenses in the league. So, it's like you kind of stack. The schedule doesn't help you out either. I was trying to go through their schedule and okay, is this going to give me any insider indication? They basically did what they were built to do. They beat all the bad teams. They beat the teams that they're in the same tier as, and they got smoked by the big dogs. And I think that at the end of the day, that's probably what we thought was going to happen going into the year, and it's what happened on the field.
Yeah, ass kickings towards the end of the year against the Chiefs, Ravens, and Eagles. And of course, two of those teams still playing. Did find a way to beat the Commanders, but that was obviously a team at the time we didn't think would be in the NFC Championship game. Talk to me about the Steelers quarterback situation a little bit. Obviously, none of these guys fantasy relevant for the most part, especially because Justin Fields was benched after 6 games. But your thoughts on Russell Wilson, and did the Steelers make a mistake turning to him?
Yeah, I don't think they made a mistake as much as it is, they did the right thing for what I think they wanted to be, which was competitive, but not really, shell out. They just haven't had a plan. Even though they've had a core group of guys for 4 to 5 years now, it feels like it's been a different Steelers team every single season, especially offensively. I mean, their EPA this year is 25th. And I mean, that's worse than Ben Roethlisberger's last year there. And we all know how that turned out. I mean, I think Arthur Smith did well with the pieces that they had there. I mean, you look at looking at their pass catchers, right? 5 of their 7 top pass catchers were not wide receivers. I mean, that's just, they're trying to death teams by 1,000 paper cuts. And it's just not, if you're playing the 2009 Colts or the 2005, Browns, that's going to work, but it's not going to work when you're playing, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts is even, shown he's capable of leading a high octane offense, even though I don't think he's great. I think that they just need to sober up and understand who they want to be. You're not going to get an answer this season coming up. There's no quarterback you can bring in that's going to make this team any better than they were this year.
Yeah, I mean, 83-0 being outscored in the last handful of playoff games. It's almost impossible going back to Jags, Browns, Bills, Ravens, and what an indictment on Mike Tomlin. I totally agree with the fact that there are no available quarterbacks. I wouldn't want Sam Darnold rolling into Acrisure Stadium on a cold December evening against the Ravens. So I'm personally leaning Justin Fields. I mean, is there anybody you'd consider in the draft? Are they picking too late? Is there anybody else out there who's maybe a sneaky candidate to be a Steeler, whether he's on a team right now or another free agent?
You know where this is going is you guys are going to end up drafting Shedeur Sanders because I think he's going to fall farther than people want, and he's going to be in that range. And I don't necessarily love that either. But I mean, I think that you guys have a roster that is only a couple key pieces away from really being in this conversation with the elite teams. I truly believe that. I love they're in their primes, some of your best players too. I know you've got some big contracts that you're going to have to dole out, but I truly don't. They need to have a 3-year plan, and they need to either draft somebody like a Shedeur, or they need to pursue somebody with high potential. That guy might already be on the roster in Justin Fields, who you alluded to. I don't know if that's a 5-year plan, but what's going to happen with the OC this upcoming season? You guys did great putting together a good young offensive line. I love George Pickens. I really like Freiermuth. I'm a big Darnell Washington guy too. I don't know exactly what the temperature is there from Steeler fans, but I've always had a soft spot in my heart for guys that are way too big to be on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, we need to throw him the ball more. We all feel the same way here. Everybody loves him in the Steel City. We wonder why he doesn't get more targets, especially when you have Van Jefferson and Mike Williams getting those targets. Jordan, go ahead.
Yeah. So you kind of talked about George Pickens. Where would you rank him overall, like wide receiver tier, after this past season, just kind of as a whole right now?
I mean, poor guy, 100+ targets and barely 59 receptions, I think it was. That's insane. He's way too good for that to be going on. I have him, so I don't really like to do he's top 5, he's top 10. I have the elite guys, your Chase, your Jefferson, your Lamb, and then I have your next guys down, your Amon-Ra, A.J. Brown, Puka. I would have him, honestly, a tier right beneath those guys. The way he improved this season is route running. He's still ranked. he's hilarious mentally, but I mean, like, would any other receiver in the league not be doing what he's doing if they're playing in an offense that used their star wide receiver in the way that he's being used? I'd say the answer to that is no. The position is more consistently crazy than any other position on any other team in sports. So I think he's right there. I don't know about the running back room as much. I like these guys. I think they're fine. I just don't think there's a lot of explosiveness there. Warren has shown that he can do that in spurts, but is he really that guy that you can get, especially with the running back resurgence we saw across the league this year? Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, a lot of the rookies, Bucky Irving popping in Tampa. I would just love to see them maybe address that a little bit more.
Yeah, talk about that running back value. You mentioned Jaylen Warren. Talk about Najee. Obviously, he's a free agent. What do you think the market for him is?
Najee's going to get, probably 2 years, $20 million, I would say, from somebody. He's still young enough, and the league is going to, and while I don't know if he's really worth that, the league is going to overreact from the running back explosion that we had this year. And I think they're going to give guys a little bit more money than they're worth. Now, does he want to play ball a little bit more and take a team-friendly deal? I could see that. It's the organization that is, it's shown that guys do not succeed very often when they leave the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that's pretty much a rule of thumb. So, I don't know if he's going to get the opportunity that he wants elsewhere. I mean, he's got a 1,000-yard streak going that few other players can say that they do. So I would love to know. I'd love to be a fly on the wall for those meetings. Warren is the guy that I think is a little bit more interesting and what the Steelers envision him for their long-term plans.
Talk about the NFL draft, because over here in Steelerville, that's pretty much all we have to look forward to. What skill players stick out for you? I know it's early so far, but any that come to mind? I know you talked about at the quarterback position, but anything else out there?
I think it's going to be, and this is what you guys need, it's going to be another fantastic wide receiver draft. I would love to see them. I know it's not traditionally Steelers move, but to get aggressive, and you don't have to trade up into the top 5, top 10. A lot of these guys are going to fall into the teens just because of the overall positional value at also running back, at defensive line, at linebacker, things that you guys need, but it's going to be deep enough that you can wait later into the draft to take some of them. And you guys know you're always going to coach them up, even though the defensive coordinator I've seen his name mentioned negatively more than I was thought that I would have reading Steelers buzz. But if you guys can be aggressive and go for like a Luther Burden, I think that would be amazing. And I think that would put you guys on track to have a young, explosive offensive core for the next 3 to 4 years at minimum.
Yeah.
No doubt. I know you're a big fantasy guy. I mean, listen, our fantasy football viewers are rabid. I mean, listen, everybody across the world that plays are already thinking about next season after their season ends. So I just want to talk to you quickly about, maybe some guys who took a leap this year. And then, who you taking first overall next year, PPR? I'm hearing some Chase jumping up to number 1, some Jefferson in there too, over guys like Barkley and redraft.
Yeah, if we're talking full PPR, I think that, I just talked a lot about the running backs, right, and the explosion and how a lot of these rooms are settled. Like this year going into fantasy, we didn't know that a lot of these guys were going to have the levels of success that we have. A lot of them are signed to multi-year deals. So when that's the case, I like to take, the diamonds. Give me like a Jamar Chase. That would be my 101. Right behind him, I would probably take Bijan Robinson. I'm a huge Bijan guy. If you wanted to say Jahmyr Gibbs, I wouldn't argue against that. But man, Bijan just moves differently. Do the Lions decide to bring back David Montgomery in the role that he had? If so, I don't love Gibbs as much. But if you're talking full PPR, I love Chase. If you want to round out the rest of that first round, guys I have ranked highly up, Devon Achane is my guy. I love Achane. I cannot get enough of him. I know I'm reeling off running backs, even though I said wide receivers at the top, but you're gonna see a lot of guys take a huge leap forward next year, and I'm really excited for it.
Achane's got some wide receiver chops anyway, so fair enough. I mean, Gibbs too. You guys are catching 50, 60 packs.
I mean, the guy had 700 yards and 6 rushing touchdowns, I believe, and he finished as the running back 6. I mean, that is a wide receiver in a running back's body.
Yep. JY, go ahead and close this thing out.
Yeah, we appreciate your time. Just tell everyone where they can find your work at and what you have coming up next this year.
Of course. I am the host of the This Guy Sucks podcast on YouTube. I'm going to be just hater of the year for 2025 on Twitter. If you want to come find me, I do a lot of my content on there as well. Guys, I'll leave you with this. Every year I adopt an AFC team. I'm a Buccaneers fan, but I like to, spread my wings a little bit. It gets me closer to the game. It gets me closer to the teams. This last year I picked the Chargers. Look at the season that they had. I'm thinking the Steelers are going to be my 2025 AFC team. So I'm going to hitch my wagon to them and find a way to pump them. I'm going to pump them in, guys. I'll be right there with you in the trenches.
Can you help? Can you toss us Chris Godwin? Put in a word. Free agent. I know he's coming off a tough injury.
I can throw in Chris Godwin if you guys can guarantee me Justin Fields will start 12 games.
I think that's the direction it's headed, and I sure hope so. So we'll see.
That would be lovely.
All right, man. We appreciate you joining us from that self-driving whip. It's nice. You can do a podcast, eat a cheeseburger at the same time.
Always.
Certainly multi-talented dude. Chuck Bass, appreciate you, brother. Take care. I tell you what, man, I've done some shows from cars, but that might have been a first. So really appreciate him and his safety, I think, at the end of the day. And, it was funny. We talk about DraftKings. Speaking of safeties, Chiefs absolutely killed me this past Saturday, running out of the back of the end zone for a safety. But that's neither here nor there. I think we heard a lot of what Steelers fans want.
Yeah, I like what he had to say.
Justin Fields starting a quarterback, moving up for a receiver, utilizing Jalen Warren more in the run game. Those are just 3 bullet points he hit on that I think we couldn't agree on more, Steelers fans, maybe not necessarily you.
Yeah, you want to know what kind of really stuck out to me, what he kind of said about, and I feel like the Steelers have kind of been like this, and they get lucky every once in a while, but they beat who they were supposed to beat, and they lost. Yeah. And when you have that coming from a national personality, it's a little It's a little bit different. That's what really I took away from that whole thing. When you put it into perspective, I mean, that this is what was kind of meant to happen. The Steelers just, again, they're good at reeling you in, and then they reel right back out once December starts, unfortunately. It's going to be interesting, but hey, I mean, it's a long season. This is what makes this fun. We get to sit here and dissect everything and break it down with great guests.
I'll say one thing. I don't know if he was joking or exaggerating. The Steelers aren't getting Shedeur Sanders. He's a top 5 pick. So that you can cross that off your board. He's not going to fall all the way to 21.
Have you seen crazier things happen, though?
Crazier things? Roger Snell talked about as a high pick, and he fell too. But too many teams need quarterback.
Drafted by I'm just hypothetically speaking, and then he's like what? Who? I forget who did that. Didn't Eli Manning?
Yeah, Eli. He would go to Pittsburgh. He wouldn't go to Cleveland. He would go somewhere with tradition and a place that Tomlin like that too. Always factors in
a winning culture. So we just need to get a winning playoff culture here.
Yep, that's a good way. That's a good way to put it.
But all right, thanks for hanging out with us, guys. We'll be back. Stay warm if you're in Pittsburgh. We're in what is it in South Florida right now?
It's going to be 50. It's cold.
Oh my God, it's going to be 50. That's like a spring day in Pittsburgh. That.
My wife's turning the heat on down here. I'm like, come on, turn it up,
man. It's always a pleasure. And thank you guys.
Up there, I'm hearing.
What's that?
-8 tomorrow. I'm hearing.
Yeah, it's brutal. So. Need that heated blanket, definitely. Maybe even a heated coat at this point. But all right, man. Always a pleasure. We'll be back. Thank you, guys. Make sure you subscribe. Thank you for interacting with our content on all channels. And we will see you guys soon. Sammy, Juliana, take it away.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Steelers Crazy on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.